The information you need relating to the sport you love, all within 5 minutes. NASCAR 5 starts right now. Hello everyone and welcome to the NASCAR 5 Canadian Tire Series edition post-race show. I'm your host Bryce Turner. More from my interview with Erik Tomas later on, but first some Riverside post-race coverage. Donald Chisholm has won at Riverside. This is the first pure NCAS victory for the hometown driver from Antigonish, Nova Scotia. Once again, Donald Chisholm has won the Wilson Equipment 300. Alex Tagliani, DJ Kennington, Andrew Ranger, and Mark Dilley rounded out the top 5. Only the top 4 finished on the lead lap. Major incidents in the race: Donald Chisholm and Andrew Ranger swapped the lead early on. Lap 42, first caution after Chisholm and Scott Steckley wrecked. Steckley's number 22 was left with heavy damage. Lap 65, yellow flag after Stefan Zaginski hit the wall. Lap 135, caution for debris on the track. On lap 175, Jason Hathaway took the lead. However, on lap 240, race leader Hathaway and John Fleming wrecked, bringing out the caution. Hathaway's number 3 car was on fire, literally, but Jason got out of the car unscathed. Chisholm led the field back up to speed and held on to win at Riverside. LP Dumoulin continues to lead in the standings by the same margin of 26 points. Andrew Ranger and J.R. Fitzpatrick are tied for second now, though Ranger would win a tiebreaker with 2 wins compared to Fitzpatrick's 1. Jason Hathaway is 4th, 47 points back. DJ Kennington 5th, 52 back of the top spot. From Riverside International Speedway back out west to the Bowmanville, Ontario area and the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for race 2 of the year at that track. Pinty's presents the Clarington 200, which will take place on Sunday, August 31st. Tune into pre-race coverage on Saturday, August 30th here on NASCAR 5. The information you need relating to the sport you love has been provided and within 5 minutes. However, with bonus coverage through my interview with Erik Tomas, today's edition is longer than 5 minutes. But you don't want to miss the interview part 2, so stay tuned. Erik Tomas is next on NASCAR 5. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at BryceT24. Check out post-race NASCAR coverage at carnuts.ca. If you're looking for pre-race NASCAR coverage, be sure to tune into my YouTube channel, and you can also visit my website, bryceturner.wix.com/home. How has it been working with public relations for both Alex Tagliani and the Canadian Motor Speedway project?
It's been really good. It's the first year that I do tag first. I've never done media and public relations for a driver in the 40 years I've been in the radio business, and the last 22 exclusively with Raceline Radio across Canada. I just have been doing the media and PR stuff for the Canadian Motor Speedway project and working with that and working it through the long and sometimes tedious government process and bureaucracy. And then I just got a call out of the blue from Tagliani, who I've known forever since he came up, through the Atlantic ranks, and got to know him very, very well. We've had him on our show plenty of times, and he just simply said, "I like what you're doing with that CMS thing, the Canadian Motor Speedway thing. Would you like to do some media and PR for me?" And I said, "Sure." I hadn't tried it before, so I'm kind of a rookie in that, but working with Max Diorsenenz on the French side, who's a veteran of the media PR thing, I learned a lot from Max, and still learning a lot from Max. It's been kind of interesting to formulate the releases that get sent out rather than just receiving them and formulating them into a Raceline show of the information. So it's been an eye-opening experience. It's had its pluses. It's had its usual lumps and bumps when you're dealing with a myriad of people, but everybody's all looking in the same direction. Totally behind Tag, totally behind EpiPen and Pfizer and the sponsors that he has, and working with Colin Livingston and the Dicom Express people and Sennheiser and what needs to be done. It's a neat balancing act. The other thing too is that because of his nationwide stuff with Roger Penske, I get to work with the PR people there and working with Paul Gentilozzi and the Tudor United Sports Car Series, doing some PR work there too. And now, of course, he's got the ride with Keselowski for the truck race at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, so getting involved on that side of it too. So the people that I've kind of known over the years doing Raceline, I've sort of been able to reconnect with them on the PR side for Tag. So it's been a nice adventure and very, very interesting.
And he definitely participates in a lot of racing as well. And I do have to ask, is there anything that you can share at this time in regards to Tagliani's racing plans for next year?
Other than I think he's planning on doing exactly what he's doing now. I mean, everything from IndyCar with the Sarah Fisher people, and of course I didn't mention them in the last little statement there. I mean, they certainly have been a big part of it. I mean, Tag's, I think, first love is the IndyCar thing, but I think he's also, Bryce, enjoying the variety of stuff that he's doing. I mean, he's doing IndyCar. He's still dabbling in that. He's got the sports car thing, which is very, very interesting. The stock car thing with the NASCAR Canadian Tire Series and with the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and he's got this truck run to do for Keselowski. I think he's really enjoying the versatility of that, because there's not very many drivers out there, Bryce, that can do a myriad of different things in this sport and do well at them. But I mean, Tag is a guy who's a threat to win. I mean, he got the pole and finished second in that nationwide race, the first one for Roger Penske. And Roger doesn't hire stiffs; he hires people who are good and have good potential. Same thing with Keselowski, and same thing with Gentilozzi. I mean, he's a guy who is showing a tremendous amount of talent in a variety of different rides in this sport, and that's good. And I don't know, somebody may jump up and say, come in, drive my sports car for a full year, or a nationwide car for a full year, whatever it is. That'd be really great, or whatever it is. But I think right now the plan, I'm not being privy to anything really for next year, is the fact that he's probably going to continue doing what he's doing.
Your radio show has been running for 22 years strong. What is your favorite part about hosting Raceline Radio?
I think the best part of it is I get to make my living and keep the lights on and keep my girls and my mortgage fed from the avails of a sport that I grew up with and a sport that I love. And it's sometimes it's frustrating, but most times it's a lot of fun. And as they say, you don't want to sound corny or maudlin, but it sure beats working for a living. I mean, it's something that I enjoyed on the side when I was first starting in the radio business, and it sort of branched off into television, and I was always doing racing on the side as a hobby. And then, as they say, in the early 90s, it came on board as a full-time gig. Started with television, then morphed into radio, and we're still the only nationally syndicated motorsports show in the country. And as you said, thanks to some wonderful people like Subaru and WD-40 and Tissot and a number of other blue chip companies along the way. It's 22 years, and hopefully we can keep on going. And 16 stations strong across the country, 22 airings a week year round. And they haven't told me to stop, and I don't intend to until they do.
That's good, and definitely it's a bigger show in the country. But aside from that, what makes Raceline Radio so special in comparison to some of the other motorsports radio shows in North America?
Well, I think that's a good question. The mandate at the very beginning, I think, is what makes us unique. I mean, what we needed to do was that if we wanted to be syndicated nationally, we had to make sure that we covered the big stuff. So we had to make sure we covered Formula One, and we covered NASCAR, and we covered IndyCar, and we covered the NHRA and other series along the way. At the same time, the mandate had to be that we had to focus on Canadian drivers and motorcycle racers as well in that mix, that we needed to make sure that we focused on any Canadian drivers that were in those series, in those fields. And it just so happened that, through the 90s, we had Canadian success in just about all of those pursuits, by multiple personalities with IndyCar, with Scott Goodyear, through Paul Tracy, Formula One with Jacques Villeneuve, certainly, and a myriad of other people. Of course, Canadians have had huge footprints of success on the drag racing side of things as well, so it was pretty easy to get that done. We had to do the big stuff and the national stuff to be able to have a show that would matter to stations not only in Toronto, but would matter to stations in Montreal and in Halifax and in Moncton, New Brunswick, and then heading west, to Winnipeg and out through the prairies to Calgary, to Edmonton and Vancouver. So that mandated that we have to do the bigs. But at the same time, we needed to make sure not only the Canadian focus, but make sure that we also didn't lose touch with the regional stuff and the grassroots stuff. If somebody was doing some outstanding work at a speedway in Edmonton or in Ontario or in Quebec, we had to make sure that we stay connected with that, and because that's where the grassroots of it is, and that's where the fans come out to the racetracks, and that's what keeps the sport vital. The roots have to be healthy, or the whole tree dies. So you have to make sure you keep part of that. But the thing about it is that you've got to be very tight and with your writing and your content, because when you take the commercials out of it, Bryce, you've only got 22 minutes to bring you all of that every week. So you got to write tight, you got to write bright, and the show's got to cook along at a pretty fast pace, just like the sport. So it's we've had people tell us that they're not necessarily race fans, but they like listening to the program because they're entertained by it, and that's great. And I had somebody give me the highest compliment too. They said, "Boy, I didn't know you were a Canadian." I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I thought your show was American." And there are some tremendous radio shows around this sport in the States, and I guess that's where we got the idea from that. But I mean, it's encompassing all of those things across the country with 5 time zones in it, so it's impossible to have it on the air at exactly the same time, but it's, as I say, it's something I couldn't imagine not doing over the last 22 years.
Erik Tomas, host of Raceline Radio, and Alex Tagliani's PR person, thanks for joining me. Good luck in your future endeavors.
Bryce, always a pleasure. Call anytime. We'll do some more.
That is all for the Riverside Post-Race Show. I'm Bryce Turner. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.